For decades, he was the symbol of absolute invincibility. You know, the martial arts champion, the action hero, the internet god who didn't do push-ups, he pushed the earth down. But here's the thing, every legend has a final chapter. Today we're diving into the life, the legacy, and the surprising truth behind the man, the myth, Chuck Norris.
You gotta love this quote. It wasn't just some silly joke, it became modern-day folklore. It was a tall tale that started on the internet and literally turned a man into a force of nature. And that line, famously said by President George W. Bush, just perfectly captures this larger-than-life persona he took on. It wasn't about being strong. It was about, rewriting the laws of reality itself.
And then, reality delivered the one blow he couldn't block. The news hit on March 19, 2026. Chuck Norris was gone at the age of 86. I mean, after all those years of internet death hoaxes and all the memes about him being indestructible, this time, it was real. The invincible man was gone.
So how did this even happen, right? How does a real-life martial artist become the punchline for all these superhuman jokes? Well, the story of his invincibility wasn't just built overnight. It was forged over a whole lifetime in the public eye, and it all started with some real, undeniable toughness.
This right here is the perfect storm for creating a legend. First, he was a legit undefeated karate champion, no joke. Then he becomes the face of 80s action movies. He locks in that tough but fair image for 9 whole seasons as Walker, Texas Ranger. So by the time the 2000s roll around, all that real-world history just becomes rocket fuel for a totally new kind of fame, the internet meme.
And this is where things just get wonderfully absurd. The Chuck Norris fax went global. Chuck Norris makes onions cry. When the boogeyman goes to sleep, he checks his closet for Chuck Norris. I mean, each fact was more ridiculous than the last, building this myth of a man who just didn't play by the rules of physics. He was even in on the joke too, referencing that famous Cobra one in The Expendables 2.
But, behind all the memes and the Roundhouse kicks, there was a real person, a man who had a whole life long before he became this icon. So who was he, really? Let's peel back the layers of the legend and find the actual man behind the myth.
And when you put it side by side like this, it really puts it all into perspective. The myth was invincible. The man was Carlos Ray Norris, a U.S. Air Force veteran, a husband, a father, and a guy with both Irish and Cherokee heritage. It's this contrast that makes his story so compelling. The internet character was this huge caricature. The actual man was complex and, grounded.
Yeah, his journey didn't start in some famous dojo. Nope, it started as Carlos Ray Norris from Ryan, Oklahoma. He joined the Air Force, and it was actually while he was stationed in Korea that he discovered the martial arts discipline that would basically define his entire life. Oh, and that's also where he got the nickname Chuck.
And what's really interesting is he had his own philosophy about all the action he did on screen. He didn't see his characters as the ones starting fights. No, he saw them as protectors who were forced to act. This code of retaliation, not initiation, was a huge part of his persona as this reluctant but incredibly capable hero.
For a man who seemed totally ageless, the end came with a shocking suddenness. And the story of his final days is such a jarring contrast to a whole lifetime of being seen as invincible. Get this. This was his last post on Instagram on his 86th birthday. It's almost chilling to watch now. He's sparring, he looks strong, and he's even using the language of the meme, "I don't age, I level up." He thanked all his fans and just seemed to be in fantastic health and spirits. Just 10 days. That's it. That's how much time passed between that vibrant birthday post and the sudden medical emergency that took his life. That number alone just underscores the shockwaves the news sent out. 1 minute he was here, seemingly as strong as ever, and then, just like that, he wasn't.
The reports from his final day paint a really clear and swift picture. He was doing what he loved, training at his home in Kauai. Sources said he was in great spirits, even cracking jokes. And then a medical emergency just happened. He was rushed to the hospital, and he passed away peacefully with his family right there by his side.
And in the end, his family's statement just brought it all back home. The world knew the symbol of strength. They knew the man who meant everything to them. It's such a powerful reminder that behind every public icon is a private person whose most important roles are almost always played away from the camera.
So what's the legacy he leaves behind? Well, after his passing, tributes just poured in from the people who knew him best, his peers in the world of action cinema, the other titans of toughness who stood right alongside him.
First up, Sylvester Stallone, who he co-starred with in The Expendables 2. Sly remembered him as all-American and a great man. I mean, coming from Rocky and Rambo himself, that's a pretty powerful testament to the kind of respect Norris had among his fellow action heroes.
Then you've got Arnold Schwarzenegger, who called him an icon and, I think this is key, a badass in real life and in Hollywood. This just nails that duality again, his authenticity. He wasn't just playing a tough guy, he was one. And I think that's why the legend felt so real to everyone.
And from another martial arts legend, Jean-Claude Van Damme, a simple, heartfelt message. He will never be forgotten. It just speaks volumes about the deep respect he had within the very community he helped build and bring to the rest of the world.
So it all leaves us with this one question. How will the world remember him? As Carlos Ray Norris, the quiet martial artist and Air Force veteran, or as Chuck Norris, the myth who could divide by zero? You know, maybe the greatest testament to his legacy is that he was, somehow, both at the same time. A real man who became a true, undeniable legend.